I'm not going to do the accent. Hope I don't see anybody I know. Hi, everybody. You are... I'm not going to do the accent other than that. Too late. This is the patron meetup and discussion for the Shroud of Rahmon. I think I have audio. Let me know in the chat if I have audio. It's the Shroud of Rahmon. So the question remains... inspired by Sarah, how to have fun with the discussion about Shroud of Rahmon. But the thing I find is that people, the attendees to these discussions, almost always surprise me and come up with amazing things and insights to talk about. That is not the objective. That is not the agenda. We are fans. We are here to share in this thing that we all love, and occasionally to pick at this thing we all love, but mostly to share in the love. So hopefully we can all do that. I don't remember this episode guide, which is kind of fitting. I do remember that this is a breather episode in the same realm as Guys Will Be Guys, but when I'm writing an episode guide, I'm looking for kind of a click kind of a moment where I figure out a way to... By the way, is it difficult to take me seriously when I talk about serious things in this outfit? I don't know why I want to do the head waggle. I just want to do the head waggle. Yeah, so I'm always looking for like a click moment, emotional connection, resonance, whatever, to the episode, because I think it makes the episode guides more interesting if I can figure out a way to relate to the material that I didn't before, or to distill the way that I do successfully. And I didn't find that with Shroud of Rahmon, but I did with Guys Will Be Guys, so... every episode guide has its own pressures that I feel for, trying to create a piece of content about it that is in and of itself interesting and fun to watch, that is worth watching, whether or not you've seen the episode. Always the goal. Don't always get there. Let's do this. So, we're watching the episode guide for Shroud of Rahmon, and now that I've lowered the bar accidentally, I've been told not to do that. Maybe I need a little more J-Don swagger. Let's figure it out. Here we go. Shroud of Rahmon is... It's nice. It's fine. It's good. Let's just go on to the trial.
Why are you so afraid of?
Oh, all right. Shroud of Rahmon is another lightweight entry in the second season of funnish, noir, caper, fantasy mashup type of deal. The nature of the episode, along with the way in which its construction actually makes it less interesting on rewatches, means the episode feels a little skippable to me, which is a problem because nested in it is a rather significant event for Angel's second season.
The greater scheme, the big picture.
Nothing when you're
Nothing matters. Favor.
I'm better than anyone. There's a lot worse things out there than suicide.
It doesn't work in spite of you. Nothing you do works with us.
Why is it that I'm not on the floor this time?
Take all that matters is what we do.
The episode opens with the how we got here trope.
Would you like to say a few words to mark the occasion?
No, wait. Back up. Let me start earlier.
We see events happening near or at the climax of the story. In this case, Wesley being an... I'm not sure that edit works. And I'm not doing this necessarily to critique myself. But I figure we're here to talk about the episode guides and to talk about what my intention was versus... at least that's what we're here for this section of it. What my intentions were with the cut versus how successful I feel it landed. Less so that, because obviously I'm my own biggest critic. The how we got here trope, I don't really explain it, and I tried to use the Fight Club cut in order to do it. If you're familiar with Fight Club, if you've seen Fight Club, I think it's clear. And then I refer back to it at the end for a joke. Oh, great, flashback humor. But the edit kind of bugs me. I think it could have worked a little bit better. Thank you, MG. Welcome.
Floor this time.
Take all that matters is what we do.
The episode opens with the how we got here trope.
Would you like to say a few words to mark the occasion?
I can't think of anything. That
No,
sets
wait,
up the joke.
back up. Let me start earlier.
We see events happening near or at the climax of the story. In this case, Wesley
fine.
being in an interrogation room talking like an old-timey detective,
I'm quite good with the ladies myself, you know.
which
it's
has a
fine.
later magical explanation. Apparently, Angel is going to bite someone in the episode. 1 week earlier, or whatever, Cordy has herself a new do. Angel and Gunn are having a chat with a contact about a big job that is going to go down, and Angel gives Gunn the "I'll take it from here."
And what I'm supposed to do, sit home and knit?
I could use a sweater, something dark.
Angel stops by Darla's old digs, and Kate is hanging about looking for her as well. I continue to find this version of Kate a little tedious, since when is she afraid of him? Angel stakes the Rat Pack pyre and Jersey Shores his way back to their hideout.
Two things bringing in the chicks. The do
And the
and
ride.
the ride.
Gunn likewise cons his way into the crew, and there's some fun to be had as Angel and he both try and save each other by getting the other one kicked out. Everyone's role in the crew starts to make some sense. The demon who lifts, the demon with no body heat, and the demon who drills stuff.
The other one may or may not be one M. James Menlo, who likes to crack bank vaults.
Or he's a burn victim? Confusing design choice, especially with Candyman in the mix. Anyway, Kate gets herself involved and, in fitting with her character, runs in without backup. Cordy and Wes suss out what and where the Shroud is, and that the Shroud makes everyone crazy, though exactly how is a little confusing in the episode. The Shroud starts to do its work, Kate does her Kate thing, and Angel bites her to save her, though conveniently the present members of Team Angel only wake up just in time to see him bite her. Angel and Gunn fight, but Angel regains his composure just long enough to get the Shroud outside and burn it, and Wesley still can't think of anything.
Flashback humor.
Kate comes in, sets him free, and we see exactly why Angel
Yeah, that works if you've seen Fight Club a number of times.
did what he did. I don't have a ton for you on this one. An odd consequence of Angel's Season 2 arc being so good might be that since Angel has been hitting so many dingers, decent episodes like this one feel even more bloopy. Rahmon breaks up the flow of what might be one of the greatest episode stretches in the entire series, from Dear Boy to Redefinition. Funny enough, I remember having a similar sensation of Arcus Interruptus in Buffy's second season, with episodes like Phases and Killed by Death. Both shows smoothed out that experience in later seasons. Well, almost. Anecdotally, I found Shroud of Rahmon to be a divisive episode in the fan community. Either it makes a few fans' favorite one-off lists, or I read groans at its mention. Your mileage is probably going to be proportional to how fun you find the noirish magical hijinks take on the Ocean's 11 caper genre, multiplied or divided by how fun you find David's performance as Jadon, the Rat Pack pyre. I think I was entertained on first run-through of the series, but consider the episode pretty skippable since. An episode doesn't really have an obligation to be entertaining more than once, but usually the phenomena works the other way for me, with the Buffyverse, our critical examination elevating my experience of an episode, as with Guys Will Be Guys. Rahmon is another breather episode like Guys Will Be Guys, except that it isn't very funny.
Where's Lester?
Yeah, where's Lester? We can't get the ball rolling without Lester. Who's Lester?
You're funny, vampire.
In any movie or show using the "it all went horribly wrong" stuff, as in beginning the episode at the ending with a cliffhanger and then flashing back, has a bizarre quirk to it, in that it generally only works fine once. Any rewatch tends to increase diminishing returns, and Ramon's cold open now feels a little slow to me instead of fun. For some reason, I was also feeling caper fatigue when I watched it this time around, even though I checked and was surprised to see that the only other real use of the caper so far was in the terrific Blind Date. I suppose Rahmon is more usual suspect than Blind Date's Ocean's 11. Rahmon is also the hardest an episode has noired since Are You Now or Have You Ever, which can be fun, but Rahmon lacks the same sort of dramatic or thematic density of either Blind Date or Are You Now. And yes, while I enjoy when the normally dour Angel pretends to be someone else undercover, the painting tour guide in She, as an example, sometimes David goes a little too broad for me in a show like Angel.
Herb Saunders, Baltimore.
It's Herb Saunders.
Plus, I was never quite able to shake a grating association I had with his Jadon.
Yeah, you know, the trip was fabo. I love flying coach.
Well, Miss Muffet sat on a tougher.
Two things bringing in the chicks. The do and the ride.
And she's looking down at me like, hey, do I know you?
Oh, Hope I don't see anybody I know.
They're not completely avoidable in a review, but I try not to traffic heavily in nitpicks. Generally, my own are easy for me to ignore when there's a big dramatic punch or a whole bunch of laughs. But apparently, when an episode doesn't shake enough shiny things in front of my face, I can't seem to stop myself from getting distracted by them. So, the Shroud's power has been exacerbated by the glass breaking, but it is so powerful it started affecting everyone before the case was opened? Specifically on the guard who works at the museum.
I can feel it. You feel it? This is gonna be amazing.
How is this thing a thing? And at a museum for muggles, no less. If the Shroud is this powerful, even in its case, why hasn't total bedlam already ensued at the museum? Also, I don't understand the way the Shroud's power works, and that does have some implications for the theme of the episode.
I'm not the bad guy, I'm the good guy.
I'm the good guy.
Oh, wait.
The bad guy.
Get it? Because Angelus sees. So, with some of our usual suspects, it seems like the Shroud gives a big jolt to their id.
It makes people bad, although it's amazing how good I feel.
Which works.
Russell, we're about to chat, buddy.
The dance of capitalist superiority.
Thank you for the donation. I just want to emphasize my opinion. Are You Now or Have You Ever Been is one of the best episodes of the entire series. Yeah. I appreciate the donation. Hey, Josh. Welcome. Oh, by the way, I am posting the link to join the Hangout now. We like to keep it around 10 people. And that is over on Patreon if you're in the 5 and up group. Sorry, give me 1 second. We'll get back to this. All right, and I promise nothing. All right, here we go.
Well then, with our understanding of vampires being id monsters, Angel and Gunn get territorial and want to go it alone, the human gets greedy, the demons get violent. This would also work as an explanation for why Angel is able to resist the Shroud's power enough to save Kate at the end.
But I've had a demon inside me for a couple 100 years.
He's been learning to resist the yellow-eyed id monster inside him for years. But a single episode of shoplifting aside, Wes and Cordy mostly just seem to be acting drunk.
Maybe we should split up.
No, too dangerous. We'd better stick together.
Right. My teeth are so big.
Speaking of Kate, Angel saving her here informally puts an end to the incessant Kate nanigans that started after the prodigal.
What I do care about is ridding this city of your kind.
My kind.
The kind that killed my father.
To say her character began Season 1 as tropey can hardly be considered a criticism in the Buffyverse, which was assembled almost entirely from familiar ones.
What is your childhood trauma?
And then innovated on them from there.
Don't be embarrassed. We're family.
I always thought there were a number of interesting directions the show could have gone with her, including after her father's death, but one of the least interesting and most difficult to pull off strikes me as making her a constantly adversarial lone wolf agitator to our main ensemble. Yes, I get the father pain. I understand her motivation and why she does what she does, but that doesn't make her a fun or captivating character. There are a few problems. The first one is the core cast.
This is Connor set up.
Will always get the lion's share of screen time. We, the audience, spend all of our time on their struggles, identify with their motivations and their arcs. Without dedicating an equal amount of screen time to her off on her own, think all the conversations between Faith and the mayor, eventually Kate just began to feel tedious. There are passing similarities to Angel's arc, and maybe Kate was intended to act as a reflection of that, but Angel turning to Angelus in Buffy Season 2 isn't the same, because we spent lots of time with Angelus and Spike and Drew. The turn was a case of magical intervention, not one that constantly reflected Angel's character, and Angelus was also a big bad supervillain.
You know what the worst part was, huh?
You know how I got these scars?
At some point, Kate ceased to be a character for a while and began acting solely as a source of conflict for plots, a la the Joyce effect. Or worse,
You're a girl.
Someone who's not even a person lecturing me on most people, it's kind of funny.
she served the story, but the stories rarely served her. Yes, I get her background in beef, but in the face of a train of demons that Angel kills and all the times that she was wrong about him...
Sooner or later, that excuse just stops working.
Though her arc over the coming handful of episodes now mercifully redirects for a bit. Cordy's diatribe...
The reason that feels like a slightly weird edit is because I had to edit Anya out of the shot in order for that to be a true
non-contextual spoiler. I just love that line. Sooner or later, that just stops working. That line, his bit about her clinging to Hell's Bells and the obvious and justifiable rage over that and frustration and all of that, but sort of using it as justification for the escalation of her own mistakes, I think is great stuff. That's one of my favorite bits in season 7, and his line there of sooner or later that the excuse just stops working. I think of that all the time. Bribe in the middle of the episode about sacrificing women always makes me want to stand up and cheer, even if her hair in this one is, it's nice. Actually, according to the DVD commentary, the whole thing was an inside joke. Charisma was begging the producers to let her cut her hair because it was too heavy and bulky. They did, and the first result was, as she describes it, her... That edit made me laugh when I did it. Her hair being too heavy and bulky. Producers to let her cut her hair because it was too heavy and bulky. They did, and the first result was, as she describes it herself, a bit of a disaster that they worked on for the next season and a half. I also think the name of the episode is cute. I wasn't able to confirm that this was where the title came from, but follow my logic. The Shroud of Turin is a length of linen cloth bearing the negative image of a man. Some claim the image depicts Jesus, and the fabric is the burial shroud in which he was wrapped after the crucifixion. So you might say it's the Shroud of Jesus, or the Shroud of Jesus. From there we get Shroud of Rahmon. I like it. It seems like the Shroud's history confirms the play on words as well.
In 1803, the Shroud was removed from its casing. The entire population of El Encanto went insane.
And that's all I've really got on this one. The rest feels either a little thematically repetitious of things we've already seen, Gunn and Angel running into trouble when they're off on their own, Kate running in with no backup, or conflicts that don't really go anyplace, like Gunn and Angel's specific personal conflict in this one over who gets to be the leader. Angel drank human blood from a living person for the first time in the series. That's a pretty big deal, but unlike other incredibly significant arc or character details nested in tonal departures, the nature of Rahmon as an episode kind of undermines the gravitas of that event for me. This should feel incredibly significant. Instead, at the end of the episode, when Cordy and Wes are worrying about Angel drinking human blood, I just want to say, turn those frowns upside down, you two. This is no biggie. The last time Angel drank human blood, all that happened was he cut ties with everyone who loves and supported him to go and fight evil alone, and the way he sees... Oh. Yeah, that's the tie that it should have to the arc, but I still don't feel like this episode has that emotional connection the way that other stuff did. That's just me, though. And it's partly because the episode undercuts the emotion of that. All right. I think I stand by all of that. That's all I got. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the meeting with the patrons now. Before I want to let the 50 of you here know that these conversations are completely spoiled. So if you haven't seen all of Buffy and all of Angel, you might want to click away now. We don't, unless there is a patron in the conversation who has not seen all of both shows, we don't put a limit on spoilers. The other thing that I want to say is that the people in this conversation, not all of them are YouTubers or people who choose to be public. They are people who are here because they like to support the work that I do. They like this community, and they like being a part of it and having those conversations. As such, for these discussions, we love and value disagreement. I love a good Riley defender, or we haven't found one yet, but a Kennedy defender. I think Tom might be our Kennedy defender, if I remember correctly, because I want to hear the other side of things. I want to discuss things. Occasionally, but I just ask for an added level of respect. These people are here because they like the stuff that I do, and because we all love the show. So anyone who is rude in the stream is just going to get banned. There's just really no... we just don't mess around with it. We're here to have fun. Another thing is a lot of times, because of the nature of these shows, we bring up topics that are contentious or triggering for people, be it abuse, alcoholism, so on and so forth. The shows deal with these kinds of things, so we deal with them in discussions. Sometimes the discussions can get triggering, and sometimes the comments wander off away from the episode that we're talking about into Seeing Red territory or any of that. That's inevitable. It does happen. All we ask is that you please listen to the moderators, and when they say stop, stop. They don't really need to explain that. That's not why we're here. So, again, please just listen to the mods. Be kind to each other. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Did I forget anything? Where is the link, please? The link to join the Hangout is on Patreon. If you're in the $5 and up group on Patreon. So you want to go over there. There we go. See, there's a patron defender. Or, not a patron defender, a community defender. Sarah, did I forget anything before we go over? I think I got everything. Boop. Yeah, Tom. I knew we had one, Tom. I thought you were it. All right, give me 1 sec. Let's switch over. Turn that off. Hello. Sarah, can you give me a sound check?
Check, 1, check. I can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine? Hi! I'm not going to wear these while we talk. I think it's not very nice. But, Sarah and I were talking earlier, and Sarah, you look so great. I figured. Yes, I know I look like Fancy Bacon from Halloween. This is Fancy Ian. I don't have the bacon on underneath. So, we're talking Shroud of the Rahmon. Hey, Josh, haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Tom, I think you went last time, so let's go ahead and start with you. Oh, by the way, I owe you guys. So today's question is favorite hair, head or facial, in the Buffyverse. And the question that was asked the last time that I didn't answer, because I don't have to. The teacher doesn't have to answer the quiz questions. Or something. I don't know. The question was favorite demon that was a one-off from particular episodes. I came up with my winner and 2 runners-up. First runner-up was the demon in I, Robot Eugene in the cold open. The cold open Italian demon, I think, is stunning and balanced out by the weird version of him at the end of it. But the one in the cold open is amazing makeup. And Sarah and I were talking, Moloch, yeah. I wonder if they didn't borrow that makeup from a different production, sort of like the soldier outfits in Firefly, because that looked expensive. And then you see the mantis later on, and you go, and since it's only in the cold open, you wonder too if they had it for the whole period. I don't know. That one's interesting. Number 2, which is so close to my number 1, but the Thessalac demon from Are You Now or Have You Ever? And it's all his performance. The Cajun, whatever he's doing, the charisma, which I think it makes that even more incredible, is he is completely engrossing. And the whole idea of a demon that feeds on people's being crappy to each other and distrust and is really dark stuff. The paranoia, the way he fit into the theme of that episode, I thought was beautiful. But my number 1, which I don't know if anyone mentioned, and I'm surprised they didn't. I think Lauren might have mentioned it. Gaknar. Who's a little fear demon? Gaknar's amazing.
Yeah, demon.
I mean, talking about Gaknar is that art design. He looks like something that got cut from Event Horizon, fitting so perfectly with the theme of that episode and him being itty itty bitty fear demon. So that's my answers to the question the last time. Okay, Tom.
How you doing, Ian?
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm well. How's the weather up there?
It is. Did you know that in addition to the lake effect, it's very humid around water?
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It's pretty. I like it. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, so happy summer, and it seems like things are starting to loosen up, and this group has been maybe some only socialization that some of us have gotten to have in the last year and a half. Hopefully things are changing, but Shroud of Rahmon, tell me about the episode. Tell me about your favorite hair in the Buffyverse, facial or otherwise. Me too, Russell.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of an out of the blue
Cheese
question.
Man? The Cheese Man, maybe? Snyder? Yeah, Shroud of Rahmon. Yeah, it's a filler. It's okay. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not boring. It's not. It doesn't. As you say, it's kind of a palate cleanser that.
It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, he bites Kate, which is important, but the problem is just doesn't seem important.
Yeah, it should.
If you look back at it objectively, and after several episodes have gone by, and you kind of go back and think, oh, yeah, he bit Kate, which kind of starts his blood lust or whatever thing again he has to worry about, and then that makes him. But that doesn't register.
Yeah, I put up the review for.
It's only after you've analyzed it for 3 or 4 times that you realize, oh yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I put up the review for the trial already after this one. We're very close to passing where I am in the series. One more month, I think. A month and a half. But I mentioned in that one, I think I hit on with this episode guide what the intention was for this event in the arc.
Mm-hmm.
But it's told to us that event is very important. And we get about 10 seconds to kind of see Angel ruminating on it, and then it's never brought up again.
Right.
I don't think even Kate and Angel talk about it again, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen that sequence in a while.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever mentioning it again.
Yeah, from the standpoint of the arc, it makes sense to me why this event occurs at this point and what it was supposed to drive and all of that, but it just feels that intention is there, but the emotional inclusion of it doesn't land.
Yeah, it's almost like they wanted him to bite Kate, or bite somebody. Said, okay, let's have him bite Kate, and let's see if we can build a story around that. How he gets there. They said, "Oh, how about why don't we do a caper?"
Well, I mean, given that the both shows emphasized themes so much,
yeah,
I'm sure. And there was the intended. I mean, this is Angel's first outing arc-wise, and Angel always does the split arcs with the mini arc at the end. So, other than season 5, it's not exactly like Buffy, but there is an intention that you can see from the very first episode all the way through. And I think a consequence of, we're talking Buffy season 5 and the glory and the dawn, into how they work in the metaphor and how that metaphor is supposed to relate to Buffy and how that was intended to be revealed, is sometimes they did work backwards from an episode's intention. It's just, I'm sure that happened quite often when it wasn't an arc episode. It's just the good ones don't feel that way. And here you can feel, that it was kind of worked backwards from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit. I knew that we weren't going to have... it's Shroud of Rahmon. Sometimes we're just not going to have a ton to say about these ones.
Yeah. I like, as usual, I love Angel doing the character bit.
Doing his
Always
bits.
fun.
Yeah. I said in the guide, I disliked his, the broad versions of it. In a bubble, I don't dislike Jadon or Herb Saunders or any of those. I think they're perfectly fine. They're perfectly entertaining. Broad for me doesn't work in the context of the show. You know, I feel like Buffy can accommodate broad jokes and broad performances on occasion, and I don't. Angel is too heavy. It's too dire. That kind of comedy, that particular variety of comedy, just feels a little universe breaking to me.
Yeah, although I kind of see it as Angel kind of trying to, in some ways, overcompensate.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because he's trying to be somebody else.
No, that's a fun read. Yeah,
yeah, and he kind of overdoes it, but fortunately for all the characters that he's doing, it works.
Yeah, he's not.
He starts off as the funny drunk in the first episode. And then he does the Herb Saunders, and then he does Jadon, and he does a pretty good Jadon. You know, he meets Jadon, he gets his flavor of it, but then kind of overplays it. But fortunately, nobody else has ever met Jadon, so it works.
Yeah,
but
yeah, he's not used to the personality gas pedal. He doesn't hit that pedal very often, so he's just not familiar with the sensitivity of it and tends to lay it on a little heavy. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Angel Dan. Well, the Angel. This makes. Sorry, I know I've said your name before. I'm the 15. But I have the goldfish brain. Angel dance scene at Cordy's party, though. The angel dance scene at Cordy's party works for me because it's a fantasy inside his head.
Yeah.
It's not actually happening in reality. He's imagining how that scene would go. And so it's fine. That for me is that is broad working because it's they've put it inside a fantasy as opposed to the reality of that scene. So, sorry. Is that all we have?
No, I just want to mention Tony Todd because he's a wonderful actor.
Yeah,
and actually I never saw the Candyman films. It's not my genre, but the first time I ever noticed him was in Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, in The Visitor. He plays.
I haven't watched all of DS9. He's Worf's brother. I remembered that. He's Kern.
Oh, you have.
Boris reminded me of that.
That's one of the great episodes of DS9. Is The Visitor with Tony Todd as older Jake Sisko.
Well, I still have to get.
I can't believe you haven't seen that episode. That's something you have to definitely.
Yeah, we have the people who have been poking me to watch DS9 for quite a while now, and I answered the call by watching Castle for the 15th time, which is what we're doing now.
Apropos of nothing, I do have a little obscure piece of trivia.
Okay.
In the Buffyverse, the connection between Inca Mummy Girl and him.
Okay.
You'll remember in Inca Mummy Girl, Oz and Devin are having a conversation, and it starts talking about Cordelia, and then Oz,
like
cat. No, that was Halloween, but
okay.
He says, what is? And so Devin asks, "What does a girl have to do to impress you?" And Oz says, "Oh, it has to do with the feather boa and theme from A Summer Place."
Okay.
And then we go to him.
That's a deep cut.
And when we go to him, and when Dawn sees RJ for the first time as he's putting his jacket on, the music that starts playing is theme from A Summer Place.
Ah. Wow.
I'm old. Those kind of useless trivia things just
no, but I love
there.
I'm always digging for those kinds of connections. I think Marty Noxon wrote him, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think so.
Did she write Inca Mummy Girl? I thought that was Jane Espenson.
No, Jane Espenson's first one was Band Candy.
Wow, what a great first episode.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, wow, that's a great connection. I love it. And those kinds of deep cuts are great. All right, bud. Well, is there anything else you want to throw out about this episode?
No, I think that's cool.
All right.
Thanks.
Let me go to Josh. Hello, sir.
Hi.
By the way, credit where credit's due. I'm pretty sure that you were the one who pointed out to me the connection to Angel drinking blood in this episode and what happened with the last time he did that. I think we were having a patron hangout and you were you mentioned how Shroud of Rahmon was an important episode in the arc of season 2, and I was like, really? Well, to me it seems utterly forgettable. And then I think you may have been the one that pointed that out. If I'm getting that wrong, I'm sorry to whoever mentioned that to me. This is going to be the challenge for these discussions after we pass me. But welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It was, it's been a month. The semester wound down, and that required a lot of working the weekends.
Yeah. Well, and you've got, I believe that you, Sarah, and our sweet baby boy, Jesus Jack, have a podcast together as well. So you guys are doing your own thing as well. What was the name of that?
We sure do. It's Muppets, Sex, and Trauma. And if I know Sarah, the link to our YouTube channel will appear in the chat shortly.
It should.
Knowing her as I do, but it's Muppets, Sex, and Trauma, and we haven't figured out of the three of us who is Muppets, who is Sex, and who is Trauma. But we're definitely working through the first season of Farscape and having a lot of fun discussions about it. So check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
I brought my Muppet today.
Oh, I see. See, it's like it was an unspoken plug, but I made the subtext text.
I don't think that was me that made that point about Shroud of Rahmon. I had
Boris backed me up.
Mass hysteria.
Our keeper of the deeper well has spoken.
I never wanted to doubt Boris's encyclopedic recollection, but I don't think that was me. I think that was somebody else.
All right.
Shroud of Rahmon makes me want to swallow my own tongue. I don't find it terribly important or engaging.
Well, say more on that.
So I'm loath to use terms like good or bad in describing an episode.
Yeah, I even struggle with filler. Filler to me seems like that's why I was happy to land on the term breather. But and yet
here we are.
There's a but. It's big. It's not that beautiful.
I like those, and I cannot lie. This might be my least favorite episode in season 2, if not the show. Although we have a lot of season 4 and 5 to get to.
Wow, the show is a tall. You're saying you're like over she and I fall up to pieces.
Yeah, because I mean, even with as problematic as she is, and as like hilarious as I fall to pieces is, they make sense internally. Shroud of Rahmon, in addition to being unengaging, makes no damn sense to me.
So what you're doing is you're mustering actual emotions about Shroud of Rahmon, and I'm very interested in that because I have none. So please.
Well, then I'm here to emote, man.
Yeah.
No, the only thing that I came up with, and this was during, I don't think this was a patron thing, it was a rewatch. The only thing that I came up with about why or how this episode is significant is that maybe the Shroud represents Darla, because the effect of the Shroud on everybody in this episode is obsession.
Not everyone. Yeah, I mean, the Shroud has internal issues with the way it works, regardless. Because Cordy and Wes just get drunk.
Well, Cordy was like obsessed with her looks, though.
That's true. What's Wesley's obsession?
I don't know, like puzzles or being cool. I don't know.
Being head boy.
Yeah. But at the end, when he's in the tug of war with Gunn, and he's like, "Let it go," that was when it clicked for me. I was like, "Oh, that's Darla. He's got to let go of Darla."
Okay, you know what? That is
the best I got.
One regular comment on the episode guides is sometimes I make the episode more interesting than the episode is. You just made a far more compelling case for Shroud of Rahmon than I think the episode makes for itself.
But so much about this episode makes it, like, first of all, the entire conflict would be solved with, like, a conversation.
Right. Well, yeah, that's not new to the Buffyverse, though. I mean, you've got Dead Man's Party, and
it becomes a much more frequent complaint of mine about Angel, though, where, like,
that's fair.
Whole ass seasons would be solved.
Yeah, if Wesley just talked, if he just shared.
Yes.
I didn't even tell Cordy about the son will kill the father.
And at this point, oh man, when we get to season 3, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, like at this point, Wes and Cordy know that Kate knows about vampires, so there's no reason for them not to loop her in when she bursts in, other than they're already shrouded. And the yellow eyes drive me bananas.
You don't like my excuse for it?
I love your excuse for it because it's that makes that actually, kind of like you were just saying for me, that actually makes it make sense. And
yeah.
But like never before or since has anybody partially vamped.
Yeah.
It's like what is happening? What are the rules? Does anything even matter anymore? Like why did I
partial? That makes me, now that you point that out, it surprises me because partial vamp teeth, or just like someone that's a trope in vampire movies and television shows, are them tonguing their vamp teeth for the first time. But then again, a lot of times when media does vampire, they don't do vampire face. They just do the vampire teeth. So, yeah, interesting. I'd never thought about the partial vamp face.
Like, I mean, it's the equivalent of him having one fang and being a snaggletooth vampire. Like, it makes no damn sense, and I can't stand it. And you made it make some sense.
Well, I mean, if we're headcanoning, partial metamorphosis. He doesn't do one eye. Maybe the vamp face starts eyes outward. You know, you're talking about a flexed muscle. No, that's stupid. No, it's terrible. I agree.
Well, the eyes are the window to the soul or something.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
By the way, Christy S. in chat has a question for you. She says, this is worse than Cordy banging Connor.
Yes.
Is it?
Like, again, because that, as much as I can't stand that, Christy, I'm with you there. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think there's a distinction then. I think there's a distinction that maybe there isn't a distinction for you, but there's a distinction between most personally hated versus sort of artistically void. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, like season 4's arc is one of my least favorite like things that exists.
Yeah. But they're doing Oedipus. They were absolutely doing Oedipus in that. At least like there was intent, structure. It fulfilled on something that was set up from the beginning. It was repugnant and horrible and personally unwatchable.
Yeah.
I always use the Ace Ventura naked shower weeping in the shower clip whenever we get to that. But artistically, it's like it feels to me that there's vision and intent.
Jasmine's decisions, and I'm calling her Jasmine even before Gina steps on screen. Jasmine's decisions throughout season 4 to constantly keep the team off balance make sense and are clever and are effective about that. Nothing in Shroud of Rahmon makes any damn sense to me. And also, like, who the hell is Lester? Like, where's Lester Gunn out there? Like, Lester, we never see Gunn's cousin, even later on in this old Gang of Mine or when he's torn between worlds. Did Lester retire after this episode? Like, where's Lester?
Yeah, if more of the jokes landed, there are one or two. I think there's a funny joke in the episode.
I really like, what's the password? And he goes, there's no password, and then kills him. I like that.
Okay.
When Angel takes over the Jadon persona. But then,
I mean, critiquing humor is the most subjective of all critiques to levy, but just kind of anecdotally speaking, I don't know a lot of people who think this one's as funny as even Guys Will Be Guys. I have the broad complaint about Guys Will Be Guys, but it's still, like, in a broad bubble funny. Him realizing he's got the ice hot, cold. I like that. Yeah, Alexis is great with the humor, and he's got plenty to do in that one. Cover that mirror. But this one,
the heist doesn't make that much damn sense either. Like, he's not the capsule of nitroglycerin being somehow shock vulnerable, and yet he like pulls it out of his jacket pocket,
right,
to stick it in the vault, and then Angel soccer kicks catches it. Like, they should all have been blown up at least 5 times before those idiots even got to the vault. And then their whole, like, the crew, like, the big point of the crew was to carry something heavy, and they sucked at that. They did that poorly. Like,
Tony Todd could almost have done it on his own.
When I've moved apartments, I've done better than these yahoos.
Right.
Yeah. I Shroud of Rahmon gives me acid reflux. The Shroud of Rahmon is responsible for climate change. The Shroud of Rahmon is the scourge of our times, more so even than the scourge itself.
I'm really surprised that over she, but I don't know. I'm always resistant to doing the race to the bottom conversation. I'm more a fan of the top 5 conversations than the bottom 5 conversations, for sure. Before we move on, favorite hair, head, or facial in the Buffyverse?
Hairstyles, I feel like, has got to be post when everybody stopped doing their shaggy cuts in season 5, like when Giles and Xander finally got a haircut after season 5.
Oh yeah, clean cut.
I really like those hairstyles, and not me having found my hairstyle when I was 5 years old and stuck with it, but like it's a lot. It looks nicer. It flatters them a lot more than their shaggy.
Yeah, I think that was a transition we were all making. 90s was very floppy hair, and 2000s became more clean cut. So, and as a balding man, moving away from the floppy haired haircuts as fashionable, I'm for it.
If both of my grandfathers are any indication, I'm going to be as bald as a Crenshaw melon before too long, and I don't mean to fight it. I plan to Jean-Luc Picard it.
I grew up thinking I was going to have the Jean-Luc Picard. My dad had the Picard at 21 years old, and both of my grandpas have the Picard, and all of my uncles have the Picard. But I'm 41, and these terrible ones are just hanging on for dear life up here. I'm like, just go away, just commit to.
Yeah.
Anyway, Josh,
I'm 32, and I've still got very thick, manageable hair.
Luscious locks.
Yes.
Well, why don't you brag about it? All right, bud, I appreciate it. Is there anyone who needs to leave early? I always forget to ask that question. Good. All right, let me go to Andre. Andre, sir. Hello. Welcome. So we are talking Shroud of Rahmon, obviously. And favorite hair, head, or facial in the Buffyverse?
So let's start with the hair, which is easier.
Which is easier. Yes, I know. That's. I don't.
Yes, that
Yeah.
counts for hair. That's good.
Yeah.
But it's a funny hair. Almost all like flashback Angelus are amazing.
Yeah, the wig
and
hair.
there's one special. There's like the big wig with flop and the thick mustache.
Did he? Oh, was that? Are you talking about? Was that in? That was either Orpheus or Becoming Part 1. If he had some kind of facial hair with the big old floppy head of hair.
Yeah, I don't remember the episode, but it was...
Or Amends, that would make sense, Tom. Amends was the stash. Okay. Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah. With the maid in the hallway. Yeah, good one. All right, excellent choices. Yeah, I mean, if we just want to focus on best Angel hair, best Buffy hair, but Sarah pointed out the Cordy's haircut change in this one, so it seemed relevant to the discussion. So Shroud of Rahmon.
It's fun. I love to see like Angel play a part in any way. It's usually really like amazing. I think Boreanaz has a lot of fun when he gets to not play Angel for a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love like all those little beats that show like everyone's personality. Like Cordy is stealing the necklace. They say, "Oh no, I return everything," and this shit. Oh, I will return this right now, or something like that. And she like wearing the necklace she took away. So
yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think this episode just feels sandwiched between Darla and the trial, both of which are, I mean, the trial is a two-parter essentially. So both of which are earth-shattering. You can see where the budget was spent. Those are the emotional. If you have to schedule and prioritize where you're going to put most of your focus and time, I could see you give 3 weeks to one and 2 weeks to Shroud of Rahmon. But it's just the episode feels like that,
Yeah. The thing that most bothered me about this episode is the end that you actually mentioned on the review guide. Is he drinks blood like for the first time in a long time. It doesn't appear to matter at all, like in all the rest of the seasons. I think there's a couple of times like like Angel goes bad or decides, oh, I need human blood today. There's like almost no importance, and it kind of fails considering the whole alcoholism metaphor that they have.
Yep.
So, feels odd, and I don't know if they want that because I don't feel like they succeeded. But if they wanted to make so he drink blood, so he goes a little crazier, and that's what caused everything to goes apart to the end of the season.
Yeah, whether or not that link was intended, it's there, but you really have to look for it. If we consider the arc. If the arc were one single episode, one single story, then that would be the significance of this event, is to sort of push his hunger and to show that he to drive the darkness a little bit and to show that he can get there with the soul and without needing to be Angelus. But man, is it just not, there's not that connective emotional tissue between that scene and that idea. And it's strange because so many of the breather one-off episodes are capable of significant dramatic moments. Once More with Feeling is like I was in heaven, is a gut punch of a moment at the end of that episode. that is people singing and dancing the entire time. I mean, granted, that was kind of the point he was trying to make about musicals, was how in musicals people sing the truth. But it's still they are still capable of those beats. It just didn't hit in this one.
Yeah, the whole like hissing contest between like Gun and Angel really bothers me. It makes no sense, and I'm trying to follow up, and they're like, "Oh, we are fighting, but basically for no reason at all. I just don't want to follow you. That's why."
Yeah, I think there is some setup for that in their personalities. It's just not justified in the scene itself. Just feels contrived.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say.
Yeah, no, all good.
It's fun either way.
Sometimes this happens. Well, no problem. So, anything else you want to throw out about that one? You good?
I think I'm good.
All right. Let's go over to Mr. Boris. Mr. Boris, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Well, let me hear it.
I think the episode's okay.
Well, I think everyone has thought it's okay.
Well, I probably like it more than like Josh at least.
Well, other than Josh, yes. I think it's a solid C+.
Yeah. I guess just to get to the hairstyle question real quick, that is a very complicated question because just like there's so many characters, so many various hairstyles. It's like to narrow it down, you'd have to like do a bunch of math and coordinate.
Well, we could focus on Buffy and Angel. Angel's doesn't vary all that much, or if you had something in mind already. I mean, I
had a few
this.
I just a few ones that I like. I like Willow's season 4 hair.
Okay,
Bob's are nice. I like them. I like Buffy's hair after Faith takes over and gets all curly and stuff. It looks really nice. Angel's hair is pretty great throughout the whole thing. Cordy has Cordy and Anya like definitely like varied up like the most, I think. And there's some like highs and lows with that.
For some reason Anya's I can't track Anya's dues in my mind.
Well, like what happens is that like for seasons 3 and 4 she's a brunette, and then she becomes a blonde for the rest of the show. Then she's like a brunette for part of season 7. Like I actually forgot she was brunette earlier on because like
like in Selfless.
Well, yeah, like from like Lessons to Selfless, she's a brunette because she's back to Vengeance Demoning.
So her hair is a barometer of her demonness.
Possibly. I'm not sure how it all lines up, but like, plus also she might have been doing a film at that time, so I don't know if like that had anything to do with it.
Tracy in chat says always like Willow's hair, but the short hair on her is so cute. So there's some agreement.
Goddamn yes, so nice.
Excuse me.
So yeah, let's get on to the episode.
Okay.
I guess just my biggest criticism is the Shroud itself. The whole how the power works and like who it affects what and why is like very inconsistent. I would have liked, and like I feel like it could have been, some of this could have been mitigated with just like a few changes. Like either make it so that like the Shroud doesn't actually do anything until it breaks, or like I even thought of this because a little while ago, but because they say later in the episode Tony Todd Demon that it's his people that have the Shroud. So I'm like, maybe his presence could have like pushed some things along more, like that could have like justified why it didn't affect more people earlier.
Yeah,
maybe?
I recognized in this one when for the first time that he says it was my people, and so I guess the demon Rahmon itself was a Tony Todd demon, which would make a certain kind of sense. So either the Shroud has its effect to try and contain the demon Rahmon itself, in which case it makes no sense because it causes everyone around him it to want to take the Shroud and destroy it, which seems counterproductive to the intention of the Shroud, or Ramon's dead body is the thing instilling the Shroud with the power, in which case, why doesn't Tony Todd's cause that magical influence over everyone else? So it's still a problem.
Yeah, well, I like it. At least would have like just helped a few things out. Like as long like it would at least help if it was more consistent or they had some more established rules, because like it kind of just does whatever and it's kind of weird. That's like the main thing I'd criticize. I guess like I also feel like maybe the heist could have been more impressive, honestly, because like it kind of felt like they just went to like they went through a door and then they had to like open the safe and that was kind of it.
Yeah,
so, like,
that I don't want to criticize set design, but that whole thing felt. I don't know. It feels like it feels like it feels like a basic's a good word. It feels like a plot from. I understand that timing and scheduling and necessity, and you have 2 weeks. It was Next Generation that had 2 weeks to film an episode. You know, so whatever the property masters and the set designers were doing in advance of that, like however that worked, I get it. I'm just saying, like, that set itself is noticeably stagey to me, and the episode feels like it needs a little. I think one part of the caper motif is kind of slick technology, or sort of. Especially the Ocean's 11 version of it, but sort of, I don't know. It needs a little bit of awe or epicness to it, to the things that they're pulling off. And this is a bunch of dudes walking down a hallway, standing in front of a door. You know, I don't know. It doesn't quite reach the heights.
Yeah. I mean, even if the set itself is not the best,
Ocean's 1.5, I like it.
Oh, well, like. Even if, like we had the set, like I don't think the set is the worst or anything. But like even if there are just more steps to the plan, I feel like it could be a little bit more investment worthy. Like I don't know, like maybe there's just more guards, or like maybe there's like some additional layers, or like they have to do some prep before they went to the place. I don't know, like just more of that could have been useful. So like
or like a location shoot, a location shoot someplace. I don't know. Again, we don't know the idiosyncrasies of getting this done and working on the set and doing all of that. But it feels, the episode just does not feel. It has I think I said in the rewatch, it has the notes of the caper. It's just they never come together. They never really elevate.
So slightly moving to more positive stuff.
Sure.
As far as like the Angel and Gunn thing goes, I think the idea is that with as far as like his Angel's approach here is that like I think he views Gunn as like being a bit too personally involved with the situation, because like it is his cousin and stuff. So it's like, and he does mention in the episode when he's going all yellow-eyed that like he calls back like Gunn blaming the vampires for his sister and stuff, so like that could be a part of it. And I guess like we get more, because I guess nothing really resolves here, but like we do kind of get a bit more when we get to that old gang of mine, when like he's talking about like, yeah, I'm not really crazy about that vampire thing, Angel. So like I guess like that does get a little more resolution there, so that's something, I guess. And I guess because you were bringing up the guys with the guys situation in the watch, and I think maybe the difference is that in that situation, you know, Angel is obsessed with Darla and stuff, so like he's maybe more blind to this, to bring Gunn in as a problem, kind of, yeah. So, and when it's like when he's more personally invested in it, he's got a bit more like, he's not quite thinking about Gunn as much, but like because Gunn is like more, he has a personal stake in this, it's like, maybe I gotta keep you out of this just for the sake of it. And in general, Angel seems to have this thing this episode where like he's trying to use like his more and jealousy side to try to protect people as much as he can. Because in this episode,
when after Hero, I think that was justified in a couple of the interactions with Wes, but I think that lesson has been had his need for a team. I think that the finale of season 1 and Don't Be Embarrassed, We're Family was all about kind of forming that group. Now I realize we're moving towards shattering the team, but again, I that's where we get to the difference between the notes being there versus them feeling emotional and justified in connecting. Like I forget that Gunn's cousin is involved in this episode, and you're right, he is. That for the driving emotional conflict between the two of them for the entire episode, that is so perfunctory and just kind of there that it feels like that should have been more important. It just doesn't land, to me, is all I was trying to say.
Well, I mean, they could have done more with it, definitely. But like, I feel like there's something there if you could dig in, like as far as like character motivation goes, as far as these things go. I also think it's interesting that we have Gunn pretending to be this Lester guy, and that also, because Angel season 2, a lot of that comes down to like identity and like people pretend to be, and because just 2 episodes ago we had Guys Will Be Guys, and Wesley pretended to be Angel, and Corey was also pretending to be some other people in the past, and like Dear Boy and stuff. So like, we're definitely building up this idea of people pretending to be something, and whether or not that's their real self or what all that. And we're also, blurring the demon lines and stuff, which is why you mentioned the yellow eyes and business.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely ideas of like mixing identity and like what's the real thing and all that. So that's decent.
That's good.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
and as I was saying with the Angel protecting people, because in the Kate scene, the first one, he has a bit of a bit more of a smarmy, aggressive approach where he's like, "You better not get involved with the Darla business," and he's trying to use that like darker side of him to be like, don't be involved in this, Kate. You're gonna screw it up. And like, and then it's kind of used more positively when we get to like more the end, where he's like, I'm gonna pretend to drink you to save your life and stuff. So there's a bit, and he also
in the season 1 finale.
One guy.
Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Sorry, and just the time that whole saving people thing, he gets that one guy. He makes sure that one guy doesn't get killed. So that's another thing.
In the season 1 finale, there is a wonderful, satisfying bit where he says, "You want to be enemies? Try me." And then they walk that back a couple of times at the beginning of this season, where she stumbles on him saving someone or whatever it may be. I wish that they hadn't walked that back, because it would justify so much more of the animosity between the two of them in those scenes, and it would kind of justify his exhaustion with her, and we'd have that sort of catharsis ourselves.
Well, the only real interaction, like, this is like this episode's the first real conversation they've had since the finale, because like I think because with Dear Boy, like true? Because Dear Boy is the only episode Kate was in before this season.
She's not in Dear Boy. No, I get Darla and Dear Boy mixed up. You're right.
Yeah, like I don't think they actually talked in that episode. Like I think maybe Kate was in on the whole, like trying to deal with him, thinking he killed a person, but like they never actually like talked stuff out. It was just Darla going to Angel's place and being like, "Where is he? I gotta do this thing." So like they never really like talked after that. So like it kind of makes sense. Angel's like being a little smarmy about it, but like deep down he doesn't really want that beef too much. Really, it's just kind of. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't want like Kate dead or anything. It's just
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. She's not. She's annoying. She's not evil. There's definitely the line there. But I do need to move on. Is there anything else you want to throw out about this episode?
One main thing. Oh, yeah. Near the beginning of the episode, Wesley is talking about oh no, the angel may have killed the guy or bit Kate or whatever, and he specifically says something to this effect, like, if I had known this would have happened, I would have stopped him. I know I would have, and if you know what I'm thinking here, it's very Angel season 3.
No, that's
nice. It's that thorough line. We got if he felt like he could stop Angel from doing stuff, then he would frickin' do something about it. Angel season 3, he gets the prophecy. He thinks Angel is bad, but it also turns out he was being deceived a little bit. So it's a nice little happenstance tie-in to the overall arc of Wesleydom.
Well, we'll get there, and we're gonna get there well in advance of me.
The cool thing I saw. I thought that was neat. So that's pretty much most of my thoughts on this. It needed. I feel like if with another draft or so, this would have probably been a little stronger.
A little more week, another week.
Yeah, and if this is the weakest episode of the first half, as some people have said, that's not really all that bad. This has been a very solid first half of the season at the very least. So if this is the worst, compared to some stuff we've had in other seasons of Buffy and Angel, we're doing pretty good, I'd say.
Josh and I are not of the same mind on that one. So yes, I tend to agree with you. I think this episode's fine. All right, man, I appreciate it. There was a comment. Herondale in chat asks thoughts about season 4's heist in the second episode, Ground State. I think Ground State is what this episode could have been. Ground State's a lot of fun. I have issues with Gunn's arc and kind of where that goes. I don't think he was ever the muscle. And I think it's a weird turn that they started doing that. And the social commentary from that and things in season 5, I think, is a word that I don't like using anymore, which is problematic, but we'll get there. Nonetheless, Ground State, I think, is super fun. And what's her name in that episode? Gwen. Yeah, I enjoy Gwen. I think she's fun. Although she definitely Buffy is definitely Peter Parker. I mean, there are comic book influences all over both of these shows for sure. But
Gwen is a very rogue character.
Gwen is the first straight up X-Man that appears on the show, and I feel she's great, and I love the X-Men, and I love all of that, but a little strange.
It feels a little out of place in that season, just because she doesn't she just kind of shows up a few times while all this craziness is going on. So
no,
it's not bad, but it could have been better. So I'll be pausing.
All right, bud. Let me go to Russell, and then Sarah, you take us home.
Ian, would you mind if Sarah goes first?
Oh, sure. Okay. And then Russell, you'll go first in 2 weeks. Hi.
Hey, Daddy-O.
Hi. Hey, Mommy-O.
I don't know. When in doubt of much to say, do a costume.
You look amazing. I look like I'm auditioning for the Country Dinner Theater Playhouse version of Grease, but Grease 2.
No, I already told you. You look like Ringo Starr.
I think I prefer Phil Collins, but I will take both of them.
We should call you Mr. Conductor.
It fits. So favorite hair, head or facial? I didn't when we were talking about that question, I had forgotten Cordy's hair. I was prepping everything. I forgot the connection that had to this episode. Perfect. Awesome.
Also, you're Goldfish Man.
Yes. I'm very I'm a very ephemeral human being. I'm very in the moment, and then it's gone.
Yeah, live in the moment. Give me an A. Give me an H. Give me... Give me a D.
So favorite hair.
Okay. My favorite hair on a guy is gotta be Robin Wood.
Oh yeah.
I will definitely take the Picard over the floppy.
Now
every day and twice on Sunday.
Is Robin Wood's hair a hairdo? I mean, like, what that feels like to me is the revealing of a glorious skull. You know,
that is a doing of hair.
Okay. I didn't know the answer. I was asking a question I actually I wasn't sure about.
I think if there's grooming involved, you can call it a haircut. I mean, arguably there is more hair cutting involved than there is in Cordelia.
True. Tracy in chat says love the look.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. Boy, Robin is an answer that I hadn't thought of, by the way, and that's it helps that he is a beautiful human being. But
yes. Oh, yes, he is.
But I digress. Go ahead. and favorite hair for the ladies?
Two syllables. Zigzag. Yeah,
I'm not getting there.
The zigzag part on Tara in the when she's introduced.
Oh yeah, looking up from that look. She's hiding behind her hair. That's hair doing and there's a curtain connection there. Huh. Although I don't think that was meant in Restless, but it could be read that way. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I mean there are lots of great hair, but that is my favorite hair because it's just so cute and it's just so Tara.
And it's deeply meaningful to the character and the moment and all of that. That's not necessarily the best looking, but the very rich and meaningful to that moment for the two of them.
She's put so much effort into hiding. It's cute.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Right. So the meh-ness of this episode.
Yeah.
I did come up with a couple of things. Apart from the J Dawn thing is kind of fun because I like rockabilly.
It's interesting. These kinds of episodes are almost more difficult to talk about. I mean, than a she or any of that, because then we all feel the way Josh does. That's why when Josh had an actual emotion about the episode, I got very excited.
Josh never hates things. There's like nothing. I watched so many things with him, and this man will like everything.
Yeah.
He was finding good things in cats.
I think of myself as someone who's always looking to find the love. Josh is the one who actually succeeds.
Yeah, and yet, but though I do have a bone to pick with you on this guide.
Okay, sure.
How dare you remind me that Andrew Dice Clay exists in the world?
Oh, yeah. Actually, watching it this time, every time I cut to Andrew Dice Clay, I physically had a reaction of just... yeah. I mean, no offense to anyone who... I don't even know if I'm going to say that. But, like, yeah, I physically had that But, I mean, that was kind of the point. That's kind of the point, because with his New Jersey J-Don performance that he's doing the whole time, that's why that doesn't work for me, is because it is so evocative of something that causes me physical cringe.
He could have gone Dean Martin, but instead we get... Yeah.
Yeah, we get that, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I knew people in my 20s who really liked him, and just...
Yeah, I know people who do as well. Not my thing.
If you don't know who he is, just be glad. just better not knowing. Honestly,
big American comic, big pop culture American comic in the late 80s, early 90s, who was doing a shtick, doing that shtick the entire time. and very renowned for his R-ratedness.
Highly concentrated misogyny.
Yeah, his offensiveness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway,
Apologies, but I couldn't get it out of my head, so now you can't get it out of yours.
Damn it! Now I have to put something in one. No, you never watch my videos, so I can't do the same thing to you.
He's the non-hilarious Riley Sexface.
I'll just give you shade for not watching my work.
There you go.
Okay, but I did find a couple of things. One, I have a rewrite that I think could have made this episode great.
Okay.
Because we all think that this Shroud is stupid, but it could have been something good.
Yeah.
Imagine if the property of the Shroud had been, because Shrouds conceal things, why didn't they go with the Shroud makes you, like, strips away your concealments?
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah.
Strips your layers back the more time you spend with them, and then we'd get, like, because there are so many things that everybody's trying to conceal, not just that they are playing parts, but, Angel is trying to conceal Angelus and, and Liam.
Arguably, too. I think that if there was an intent that this was some kind of id monster spell, that is there. Angel saying, "I'm not the bad guy. I'm the good guy." Wait, no, I'm not the good guy. I'm the bad guy. And that sort of gray area of where he lives and exists, and it kind of pulling that out of him. It's just it got lost in them and sensitivitying the episode rather than. I think that could have been a rich dramatic. There could have been a rich dramatic execution of that.
Even if they had just given that as the exposition to Wes, that's what it did. That would give meaning to what's happening
which is what's missing.
Yeah. And also to give them something to do with Cordy, because the drunk stealing shit, like, that's just this is like the definition of we needed to give her a certain amount of time in the episode.
Something to do. Yeah, and she and Wes, Tim Minear commented on the most difficult scenes in Are You Now or Have You Ever for him to write were the bits that included Wes and Cordy, them having to have something to do. And I think I get that feeling too much from season 2, where they're very kind of clear about where Angel's going, how Darla's involved in that, the threat of Wolfram and Hart, and so forth. And Wes has guys will be guys, which is fine. I think I found something that I don't think I felt from that episode. Cordy has... Does Cordy have anything to do this season?
Not till
first
Pylia.
Impressions? Not until Pylia. No. Yeah, Pylia, it feels like, in that sense, then maybe there's a big makeup going on.
Yeah, because I enjoy her journey in Pylia. It's kind of interesting, if uneven, and we'll get there. But when it comes to most of this season, and there's a bit, when they separate from Angel, then, but a lot of the time we've got like nothing.
It gets better, it gets better because it gives them an identity and something to do other than to just be at the Hyperion. They're running their own business. They're trying to figure themselves out. They're struggling without the actual muscle who is Angel, which just dawned on me.
Like, because I think the theme of this season is Angel having his layers peeled away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And like having to confront things. So they could have made it thematically resonant if they'd had like the thing that's what it does. And it would have been meaning. I think the other thing the thing that I do see is there is some interesting mirroring between Angel and Gunn. Them sort of doing the Angel is kind of in a need to be on my own thing, which he keeps jumping back to every time stuff goes wrong. Every time there's a setback, I need to be on my own.
What is the setback in this episode?
The setback is last episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What was last episode? Oh, Dear Boy.
Dear Boy.
Yeah.
God doesn't want you, but I still do.
I don't know if it
where
speaks...
I need to be on my own.
I don't know if it speaks to us not having these only talking about one episode a month, or if the connections aren't there and I just forget about them. Like, that's a problem of my own memory, is I didn't feel that in this episode. I don't feel that sort of connectedness, but that may be a consequence for me of how we do these discussions.
I think a lot of that is the way that the episode is done is like a reminder of the stuff going on with Darla is like a sort of dump from Cordelia. It is the thing that Cordelia does in this episode. It is the exposition. Here's the season arc dump.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of awkward. So I think we just kind of meh. But I think that there is this thing that is honestly a little annoying with Angel, that he always, whenever anything goes wrong, he does the I want to be on my own. I don't want to endanger anyone. And so he's doing that with Gunn, and Gunn is also doing that kind of like, no, this is my thing. I want to do it. And then they have the testosterone off that is always so entertaining.
Yeah, which was kind of set up in First Impressions. I mean, we talked about it in the rewatch, how Buffy is much more strictly episode to episode. If it's not about Buffy, it's in some way metaphorically about Buffy or symbolically about Buffy, with some specific exceptions. Wild at Heart is about Oz and Willow. But and Angel is much less that, but I think that it's experimental right now, and I think First Impressions and Gunn's sort of independence and wanting to, and his macho pride about taking support from Cordelia and all of that was supposed to reflect Angel's journey in this season. So I think that connection is there. It is just so lightly activated in this one, you know?
Yep.
That, I don't know.
So my last thing is about Buffy, because I hate Kate, but she is very deliberately presented to remind us of Buffy, I think, particularly in this episode. She is dressed in a completely and totally Buffy outfit, down to the eyeshadow.
Oh, the red, the red jacket.
Yeah, the red jacket, the hair, the eyeshadow, the cross. It's extremely Buffy. So I think they're trying, they're trying to do something where they've got Buffy and they've got a stand-in for Buffy, and they make him drink from her. And they've got him sort of trying to hold back Angelus, but not. And yeah, so like there's a there, but they just kind of whiffed it, which is always more annoying than the actual like out and out bad.
Yeah,
like I was talking to you about Star Trek V, which is
there's great stuff in Star Trek V.
That is the definition of fun bad. Mm-hmm. This is like the inverse of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pictures of ingredients. Isn't this going to be a wonderful meal? And then it doesn't quite cook up. It doesn't quite come together.
Like cardboard cutouts of a feast.
Yeah, I mean,
and not even in this case, not even a feast.
Yeah, Star Trek V is a souffle that collapses into a pudding of nothing, and this is burned, or just never made it in the oven. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even.
I'd prefer overcooked to undercooked, I guess, is the if you had to pick one over the other. I think a little overcooked is more fun than undercooked. Undercooked ends up being sort of meh. But I like the comparison. Is there anything else you want to throw out about the episode?
Well, the thing about having Kate be a reminder of Buffy is that it makes and the reason that I hate it is because it points out the copness of Buffy. Because she is kind of doing
more of a judge, but yeah.
She is sort of doing all of Buffy's worst sides. Buffy has this judgmentaliness.
When you make the Buffy comparison, I immediately think of Sanctuary Buffy, because that's the only Buffy that feels remotely in the realm of Katnissness to me, other than obviously that Angel has a type for the type of women that he is attracted to or interested in his life up to a certain point in season 2.
No, this is the cardboard cutout of the Feast version of Buffy. Like, these are aspects to Buffy's character that she can be a little coppish, and is kind of judgmental and tends to do everything on her own, or tries to, and that usually doesn't go so well.
Yeah, there's a model there. I think you're right. It's just like, so what is
Kate is all the work that's turned up to 11. Yeah. And yeah, it's there, but it's not for anything remotely useful. Apart from, hey, do you remember that when he bit Buffy before it was?
I mean, yeah. Now that you mention it, that connection then between the last person he bit and Kate is there, but what do they want us to take away from it? You know what I mean? And
that's the problem.
It seems like it has a little bit of the throw as much against the wall and see what sticks kind of feeling to it, which I'm sure happens all the time in making shows. It's just you don't feel it as often in Buffy as you do with certain things in Angel. Angel always has that experimental feel, where Buffy feels a little bit more constructed from the beginning.
There's some of Buffy, there's experimentation, but yeah, that's the thing with Angel. You've got, it either hits it out of the park or you get really bad, and occasionally you just get mush.
Yeah, well, and
this is mush.
Characters appearing on the show for a couple of episodes and never being around again. I mean, you've got your Ethans, but what's the rich guy from the beginning of the season that we thought that seemed like he was going to have a recurring role?
David Abbott. I like David.
David.
He doesn't fit in this world, but I like David.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Gwen,
friend. I mean, Gwen
does, speaking of not fitting in the world.
Gwen and Faith. This is all I'm saying.
Okay. Oh, I see.
we need a spin-off. We need a sequel with Gwen and Faith.
And a bell.
No more subtext. Just make
no more subtext. Just make a text. All right, I'm into that too.
Cagney and Lacey, Gwen and Faith, but just make it text.
Oh God, you just blew my mind with Cagney and Lacey.
Again, just make it text.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me go over to Russell. Russell, sir, how you doing?
Am I here?
You are here.
Hey, Ian, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Thank you for the donations. You don't need to do that, but I appreciate it, so thank you.
You know, I actually feel guilty. I have joined like 7 different YouTube streams and various other channels, including actors' pages. And the truth is, without you, Ian, I would never go on social media.
Well,
and I want you to hear me out on this.
All right.
When I back in the day, I would go to YouTube and just watch videos just for fun. So I would watch your YouTube review of a Buffy or somebody else's review of a movie. I'm not going to give channels away because I'm not going to promote here, but you get the idea.
Sure.
And a couple of years ago, you were the first channel that went live, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I had to reset my password because I didn't know how to log in. It was one of your edit streams for an Angel episode that you were recording. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that channel and that experience and this wonderful community, I would not have branched out. And I've realized in the last 3 months, I've donated to other channels than the channel that I love the most, which is this one. So,
well, that means a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. So I just wanted to give you a little backstory to that.
Well, tell me about Shroud of Rahmon and your favorite hair in the Buffy verse.
Well, Ian, I have less hair than you do. So, hair.
My condolences.
My favorite hairstyle is Angel from Buffy season 2. If I could have that hair with my hair color, I'd be great. And Shroud of Rahmon. Well, before I go there,
okay,
I need to bring up one thing real quick. I saw some comments from our last stream. I got into a tangent on the soul thing, and
well, as is our wont.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what these discussions are for, our tangents.
And I'm going to make this a brief conversation. I don't want to get too stuck into this. But it made me think that I'm not explaining myself well.
Okay.
And so when I say seed of identity, I am kind of referring to a Star Trek metaphor of the Katra, or the human spirit, the individual spirit being restored. So if that person who commented is listening,
it was probably
I hope that I hope it clarifies a little bit.
By the way, I'm going to pause your timer for just a second, buddy. Russell brings up a something I've never really thought about, which is the replays for these discussions do exist on the channel, and what that means is that those of you who haven't had the joys of sharing content on the internet, you are may at some point or another be privy to the YouTube comment, that rare and delightful and sometimes terrifying beast, the YouTube comment. We do monitor the comments on the channel, and I ban and mute liberally. I never have a problem with disagreement. People can disagree with me all day. I get stuff wrong all the time. But when people are rude, and that is a characteristic of your lowbrow YouTube comment, I tend to remove it and get removed. But you should know that I highly recommend just not going and looking at the comments. A lot of creators I know who do this kind of thing just say they don't look at the comments because it's more important to have these discussions and the community that we have together and all of that than to read a rude random comment from someone anonymous on the internet and to feel intimidated to come here and have that conversation. So we haven't talked about that, and those replays the views are kind of picking up a little bit more. So just something to be aware of, and you can always mention something to me or point something out to me through Twitter if something needs to be addressed by either Jack, Sarah, or I. But I just don't want, these discussions are very important to me, and I don't want anyone to be too intimidated to show up to them. So I just wanted to highlight, we do pay attention to that stuff. This is the first time in the years we've been doing this, though, that any of you have mentioned going and reading the comments on the replays. So there we go. Sorry, Russell, I did pause the timer. Continue. You just hit on something that I wanted to make sure I commented on.
Not a problem, and I do want to point out it wasn't rude or any comment of that a variety. It's just I felt like
if it was Kat, she's usually great. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I just felt I didn't explain myself very well, and so when I say seed of identity, I do mean the human spirit's being restored, and I also wanted, because I listened to myself 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's a terrible idea. I recommend never going and listening to yourself too. Don't read the comments and don't listen to yourself.
And I felt bad because I said, "Oh man, this question that you consistently ask." I love the question that you consistently ask me, The one about Angel, and if he is separate from Angelus, what does he have atoned for? It takes a lot of thinking, and I'm still thinking on it. And I love that question to no end. I just want you to know that. But if I believe that the soul is the human spirit, the one thing that comes up to me, and we'll get to it later. Again, I want to talk about Shroud of Rahmon, would be Spike. And if the soul is separate from the demon, did Spike earn his soul? These are things that I'm going to want to bring up just to give you kind of a moment to think about these things later down. But
okay. So to some degree, to me, the soul question is kind of like a koan. It's a part of the value of the question is not in the answer, but doing the work of thinking about it. You know, in any kind of ethical or philosophical discussion, there is that element of the value is in the pursuit of it. I mean, you know, sort of existential philosophy is in some ways about that. And that's one of the reasons why I think that the material around the soul lore is contradictory on the show. The show doesn't know the answer to the question, but we as fans will perpetually and always be trying to figure it out. And then we settle on the one that we're most sure of and comfortable with. But again, I think the value is the conversation, so I'm glad that you enjoy engaging in it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we go to Shroud of Rahmon.
Okay.
I didn't realize until our rewatch today, just that little glimpse of how far, and maybe it's because Shroud of Rahmon is an episode I tend to skip. I admit it. I'm guilty as charged. And of course, you don't notice things your first watch through. But how dark Wesley is in that interrogation scene.
Dark is in
just
serious, or
yes,
as in
yes,
the way it's
very
filmed?
Serious.
Okay.
The way it's filmed, the way he reacts, and it just feels like part of him's just breaking down. And my initial watch through, I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought he was tired and what's going on here. And then, of course, this is one of those episodes where we will, where we will learn through the backstory of the episode itself, and didn't give it a second thought. But being a fan of the show and knowing how the things progress, it feels like getting a small sample of Dark Wesley. I could be reaching, but I don't think so. But
well, I think that the details of I mean, the one of the things that makes Wesley's arc so successful and so compelling is that those details are meted out throughout. Now, I've never read that into that scene before, but there's no reason why that is not a good reading, especially if the spell is an id spell and is driving that kind of thing. Boris highlighted earlier how if we're looking for an id reading of Wes and Cordy, Wes's is wanting to be in charge, wanting to be head boy, wanting to be the one, to be the hero. He wants to be Angel. You know, maybe Guys Will Be Guys gave him the sense that he has those capabilities within himself, or in the darker sense, or in the shadow self sense, that he deserves it more than Angel does. I'm not sure, but I think that could be read as there, sure.
And again, I know I'm on a timer, so I'm going to just kind of go through these briefly. The one actor that plays Malon, is that his name? The leader of this Ocean 11 crew.
Sure.
The one with the scarred face.
Yeah.
Hell of an actor. He is the same actor from Something About Mary. He plays the handicapped brother. Have you ever seen that film?
I saw it in pieces when I used to donate blood plasma in college for burrito money. So it's been a while.
Franken Beans. He's the handicapped brother that you'd never mess with his earpiece. He refers to Ben Stiller's character as Frankenbeans. And my goodness, I would never have guessed that. After watching this episode, I went to IMDb and to look up some of the things that he had played in, and it just shocked me. The character he plays is Warren in Something About Mary, but
okay,
hell of an actor to pull something like that off. And then you got Tony Todd in this episode.
Yeah, it's a weird use of Tony Todd, but he's definitely a working actor, so it's nice to see him in anything for sure.
Is it though? I mean, Tony Todd is actually a great character actor.
Yeah.
He's portrayed a part in NYPD Blue, and I love his character in NYPD Blue. He plays a detective. I won't spoil anything. He plays Kern from TNG, which I know you've seen all of those.
Yeah.
And another role on DS9. He's an amazing actor, and I love Angel's banter with him. Like, that's kind of ballsy just to say that to Tony Todd, but where'd you get that shirt? Ed's big and spiny? Oh, you're funny, vampire.
It's funny with TNG. I used to record them on VHS, and I love the show so much that the next week on Star Trek: The Next Generation, they'd show a little trailer, an edited trailer for the next episode, and what was it, Redemption Part 2. Tony Todd is Worf's brother in that episode, and I used to watch those trailers for the next episode voraciously, rewind them and watch them again. And I also used to record episodes on audio tape and listen to them when I went to sleep. And I remember his speech, and now is the time to celebrate, for tomorrow we all may die. I heard that 50 times because the redemption cliffhanger was such a compelling one. I didn't generally love the Klingon stuff, but yeah, his voice is so Tony Todd. It's so specific. Yeah. It's fun to see him, even though I wish he'd had a bigger part, obviously.
And I know a lot of people say Shroud is okay, or it's good, but it's not that good. Here's the problem.
Okay.
Shroud Ramon and episodes like, and excuse me if I'm misquoting the episodes, is it Happy Anniversary and Blood Money? That's later down in season 2, Angel.
I'm not great with the title recall, but where are you going?
Nonetheless,
mm-hmm.
They're in between some of the best episode arcs of Angel season 2, which is the trial, Epiphany, the one right after that deals with Lindsay, and it makes me wonder if these episodes would have been put in season 1, if they would have gotten more attention, more love, and more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but more excitement from the fans.
Yeah, I think we might be hitting on one of the growing pains of Angel's second season, which is the handling of the breather episodes. I mean, you look at Buffy's breather episodes, it tends to be generally to be something that Buffy did very well with your band candies and all of that. I think the trick to the breather episode, I think, is that it doesn't feel like such a dramatic offbeat from the episode before and after it. And that is not true of even, for me, Guys Will Be Guys in this one, where the arc is so dark, so compelling, so the thing that I'm interested in, that I'm just waiting to get back to that. And I think Buffy does a more consistent job of sort of handling breather episodes, but also Buffy doesn't go this dark. And so it doesn't have it's like major, Buffy's all major key, the Angel's minor key, like, that it doesn't have to deal with the emotional swaps like that until season 6, really. And then it's debatable in season 6 the level of success that it has. But yeah, it's that might be as wonderful as Angel season 2 is. That emotional back and forth for the breather episodes, which I think are important in a 20-plus episode season, it was really its biggest challenge. And I think the whole mini arc at the end, that question doesn't go away. It's heavily comedic, and we'll get there.
Absolutely, we'll get there, and I won't spend a lot of time with this. But speaking about the Buffy season 5, I still love the Joyce arc, so I didn't feel like it was too distracting as it is with the episodes in Angel and the path that they were going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, Buffy's breather episodes have more of the arc in them. I mean, arguably, season 5, like all the breather episodes, in some way touch the arc as well, and not just the perfunctory appearance of the big bad a la Halloween, but it's a little more integrated. But again, they've had all this time to work through it. Angel's still figuring out what it is at this point. So, well, I do have to move on. But is there anything else you want to throw out about this episode?
Not much. I agree with you in your review that I didn't like the way how the Shroud affected in some ways. I will agree with Boris on Gunn's journey. I think a lot of this will be retouched in the third season. That old gang of mine.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big step episode. However you feel about the contents of it, there's the before that episode and the after that episode for sure.
So I didn't like how it worked with Gunn and Wesley, but that's neither here or there. And I think that's all I got for you, Ian. So thank you.
All right, bud. Let's go over to Lauren. Hi.
Hey guys, we're late, but Shroud of Rahmon. Maybe we're not in 10.
Oh yeah, no.
Back.
Yeah, Jack's a little under the weather.
Aw. I was excited to talk to him about Hamlet.
Yeah, there won't be a podcast this week. But I mentioned at the start, please, anyone who would like to go over my last tweet is tagged with his Twitter handle, and anyone who wants to wish him feeling better and help pick his spirits up, I think he'd appreciate it right now.
So anyway, Shroud of Rahmon. So
also, favorite hair from all of the Buffyverse.
Also favorite. Okay.
More importantly, one might say.
Okay, so off the top of my head, just because I've always wanted to do it but never got it looking quite right.
Okay.
I love Tara's hair where she did the zigzag part.
Yeah, Sarah mentioned that was Sarah's pick too. She loves that one.
But yeah.
I didn't know what the term zigzag part meant. Which she realized when from my blank stare of when she said it. But yeah, I love the way that hairdo integrates with character and the look of it too, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I came in about halfway through Sarah's talk, so I'm probably gonna be stepping on a lot of what other people have said already.
There's never any harm in restating.
But okay. So Kate.
Yeah.
I actually wonder because like in her first scene, it's like, damn it, Kate, I hate you. But then I started to wonder, it's like, we know that Elizabeth Rome wanted to kind of go and do her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we are finding out more and more about how we all know who I'm talking about, but how he treated some of the cast, a lot of the cast. And I was thinking about it and that, like, you know, before all this came out, I was like, well, you know, it was decent of them to let Seth Green out of his contract. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, but look at what they did to Oz's character. Complete character assassination.
Yeah, it's tough to write. It's tough to write someone off the show, and I'm dealing with that with Into the Woods and Riley right now, where having to write a character off without just murdering them outright.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if it was it deliberate to turn Kate into such an unlikable character as a way to punish Elizabeth for saying, like, hey, I don't see anything for me in this show. I kind of have other offers coming in. Was she being punished? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what cop calls for backup and then goes in before the backup comes?
Well, in fairness, she did do that in Somnambulist. The Hawkpire and Angel were... Hawkpire runs up the side of a building, and this is before she knows about vampires.
Right.
And she runs in by herself. I mean, just not the greatest copnessness that ever was, sort of from the beginning. And the thing that I was thinking, if we're kind of reaching for a connection to the arc, her sort of self-isolation and distance from the community around her, it could be seen as representative of what Angel is about to do, and as a warning of the decision to do that. I think that's a reach, but that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I'm kind of considering now with everything coming into light the way it has been the past couple of months. And but I did really like her. I mean, the makeup artist did a phenomenal job, because like when she stepped into the interrogation room, it's like, wow, yeah, that's somebody who just lost a lot of blood. Like, there was no color in her face.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just still thinking about what you said. The difference to me is that Oz's turn comes out of the blue pretty much in the beginning of season 4. I think it's fine. I don't hate it. I hate Cordelia's. And there's a wonderful article called "The Assassination of Cordelia Chase," written by Jennifer Cruzy, who does an incredibly comprehensive job of breaking down why what happened to Cordelia is outright character assassination.
It sounds really familiar. I think I've either read it or I've heard the article. It's
and now that we know more, it makes a certain kind of sense, and there's an ugliness to it that that we're present to. Kate's, to me, feels like more of a Joyce kind of decisions that were made to further the characters around her. The Prodigal, in The Prodigal, she and her father are a mirror and relation, a connection to Angel and his father. And so the death of those two, and Angel's being actively the cause of his own, and the relationship that has to Kate and her feeling of her father, makes a certain kind of sense to me. That feels to me grounded in that.
I mean,
I'm guessing. I'm just thinking about what you asked.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I hate most about the Kate we got is how we missed out on the Kate we could have got. Like, she could have been a great character. She could have been, like, and I've said before, she could have been Elisa Maza from Gargoyles, and just like a great, way for Angel to be able to, like, okay, I can't come out in the daylight, so, but I've got a human ally who has all these connections, who's going to help me out.
Yeah.
It could have been a great character, but I mean,
I never disliked Kate, and I didn't dislike the dark turn either. I just felt like it just never went anywhere. And we were talking about the rich guy who disappears at the beginning of season 2. Angel definitely has that whiff of just trying to throw everything against the wall and see what stuck. And it's not strictly limited to Kate. You've got David Navitt and all of those other characters, and it being episodic to start with, and then being here. And I mean, maybe she was her character was a victim of that. Who knows? We'll never know. But it sucks that we have those questions now, but we do.
Yeah, it's like can't help but wonder. But
Yeah.
I don't dislike this episode, but I also acknowledge the problems. Like, I mean, it is a very odd placed episode. I mean, in between Darla and the trial that is going to be the next episode, and it was funny. I was, just to get a little more background on the episode. I actually did listen to Lonnie's podcast for it. I dug it up through my archives. And for those of you who don't know, Lonnie usually does her episodes in pairs. So like in an hour and a half long podcast, an hour was devoted to Darla and how awesome that episode was, which is very true. And then like the last 25 minutes, like not even a half hour dedicated to Shroud of Rahmon, and most of it was just ripping the episode into shreds.
Yep. She perhaps I should adopt that format because it definitely forces her to prioritize properly, where I sort of give the, equal amounts of energy to your Shrouds of Ramones and your Darlas. The way she pairs those up gives her the ability to do that, which is certainly beneficial.
And on the flip side, I mean, I'm kind of bummed I don't see her in the chat, but on the flip side, like that episode she did in 2018. So I wonder, I mean, you would probably know, has her opinion changed at all, or does she still hate it and she hates Kate? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, she did we did the rewatch together with the replays up on the channel if you have any interest.
Okay.
Because Jack's out for today. So,
Right. Okay. I'll have to check that out.
It hasn't changed.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, if this had been earlier in season 2, like maybe before Angel even realized Darla was back, or I mean, we would have missed the awesome Cordy line, Darla brooding, lunch, and then more Darla brooding.
Yeah.
But I mean, this episode also had some great one-liners. Like, I loved Cordy's point about, if any of these rituals called for a male virgin's body part, the entire world would become atheists.
Yeah, it's a great little diatribe in the middle. Whenever I've read reviews of this, that specifically is one of the highlighted bits for sure. I mean, there's always good stuff in any of them. That's one of the reasons why the show is the show for sure.
Oh yeah. And it's funny how when Cordy and Wes were first introduced in Buffy, there was that awkward chemistry. Will they? Won't they? Okay, they do kiss, but then they realize, no. But
we have no chemistry.
Yeah, we have no chemistry. But when they're not in the awkward, flirtatious kind of thing, like they do have good chemistry.
They have terrific chemistry. Yeah.
I liked seeing them together, and I liked it when they stepped into the museum and the Shroud started affecting them, and just kind of they went off in different directions. Like Wesley was trying to keep his head in, and then Cordy was like, "Okay," and she goes to the gift shop, and
it's funny. Usually, they have great chemistry, but I don't think are specifically highlighted as a friendship. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Because it just occurred to me that I usually I love stories where the heterosexual friends don't end up dating. Or where the two people of interlocking I suddenly just completely drew a blank.
Attraction.
These two people of interlocking sexual preferences don't date. There's something because we have gajillions of the romantic stories, because of course that is a natural arc. It's a natural piece of fiction. But whenever shows have specifically shown friendships between those two characters, where it's just a good friendship between the two, I really appreciate it, and I've missed highlighting that about Wes and Cordy, and maybe that's because of that kiss in the library. It already sort of started in a place of romance and then walked away from it in a hilarious and cringeworthy way. But yeah, they do have wonderful chemistry, and there's never any sparks between them, which is, I find, refreshing in this day and age.
Yeah, but yeah, and I also thought it was funny how at the end of the episode, Cordy's like, I returned everything, I swear, except the necklace you're wearing that you took off the mannequin.
I never noticed that. That was pointed out to me this episode, that she's wearing the actual necklace. That's a great detail.
Yeah. But I thought the choice of words was kind of interesting when Wesley was talking about Angel having fed on human blood for the first time in a while, and it's like, yeah, continuity wise it's probably been about 1.5 years since he bit Buffy on graduation day, but it's, I don't know, it's when he first bit Buffy versus the amount of time before he'd bitten someone, when he was going after the rapists, like Darla pointed out.
Yeah.
Centuries versus 1.5 years. It's
sure.
I mean, I get why they were concerned, again, because Kate definitely had the Buffy vibe going for her. Even when she was first introduced, it's like, okay, Buffy, oh yeah, and he fed off Rebecca in Eternity. So
well, it's inconsistently represented. There's a shot in the pilot of Angel where he saves the two women in the alleyway, and they try and thank him, and he turns and looks at the blood on her forehead and says, "Get away from me," and obviously experiences a craving. And there was a bit in that original script where he finds the woman he's trying to save in the episode dead on the ground, and that is in the episode. But if I remember correctly, what happens is he kneels down next to her, touches her blood, has it on his fingertips, and licks his fingertips, and then it cuts away and goes to the rest of the episode. But there were studio notes that thought that was too dark, and he wasn't heroic enough. But I mean, those, even just the bit on his forehead, were indications that he was suffering from cravings or a relapse, cravings from the relapse with Buffy, if you can call that a relapse, whatever it may have been, and so I think it is there. It's just like they don't do anything with it after this one for sure. I think there's a reason why that occurs here in the arc and where the arc goes, but it's just not, it doesn't feel connected. It's just sort of present, a domino that doesn't fall or isn't close enough to connect to the other ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes studios are weird and they're like, no, that's too dark. It's like, have you seen the rest of the show?
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing I was noticing is watching when Angel took the shroud outside and he pours I guess it was alcohol or something on it, and it's like, Angel, you're a vampire. You're standing kind of close to the flames there.
Well, and the slow motion fall from that, I think, is supposed to represent another fire he starts in a couple of episodes from now. Which was something I was going to flash forward in that one, but I can still bring it up later on. But yeah, well, I mean, he's drunk. He's magic drunk.
Yeah, he's
in
drunk,
his defense. Well, I do need to let everyone go. Is there anything else you want to throw out about this episode?
No, nothing from me.
All right, good deal. What are we talking about in 2 weeks?
Listening
to Fear.
Listening to Fear.
Yay! Yay!
Thank you, Tom.
No.
That's the kind of vim and vigor we need.
Let's just have fun. It's a fun episode. Like, it's not monsters from out. Killers, not monsters from outer space. That's what the title should have been.
That's what it should have been.
Yes.
If it were,
I mean,
if
it's better
that,
than listening to Fear. You can't listen to Fear.
We'll
You got a killer snot monster from outer space.
That would have been amazing. And if they did a B movie kind of motif with it. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Killer Snot Monster from Outer Space in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. To everyone in chat, hopefully I have a video for you between now and then. It'll be Into the Woods. It'll be long. I don't think you should watch it, but I'm not the boss of you. So take care of yourselves, and
I look
we'll
forward
see.
to your rant, Ian.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
I plan on watching Into the Woods. Ian.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Russell. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.